Last year, my husband and I almost built a new house. Until we realized we loved the house we were in, we just wanted someone to help us make it feel like a new experience, a new phase of life, a more refined and put together aesthetic that would work for our busy family lifestyle and feel like a glow up for our space. Enter Erin Haskell Gourde. After doing a bit of research online and talking to friends, I discovered that Erin's company, Design for the People, was responsible for so many of the spaces I loved. I already knew that she had helped both of my brothers with major remodels and designs, but I didn't realize she was responsible for the interiors of several of the very chic salons in town, and she was booked solid with projects all over the country. But I wasn't looking for a remodel. I had a budget I wanted to stick to, and I was completely intimidated with how hiring a designer even worked. Erin had the perfect solution for me, which we will discuss here today. I took away so many gems from that experience that I asked Erin to come onto the podcast and share some of that brilliance with us. Welcome to episode 465, Design for the People with Erin Haskell Gourde. This is Better Than Happy. I'm your coach, Jody Moore, and on this podcast, my objective, just so we're clear, is to change what you've been taught and have likely believed about yourself up until now. Here's what I believe about you. I believe that what you think is real is mostly imagined, and what you imagine is actually creating what's real. I believe that in the ways you desire to achieve, you 100% have the capacity to succeed. And finally, I believe that joy, love, and miracles are your God-given natural state of being. And anytime you feel far from them, the way back is much simpler than you think. But that's about to change. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hey there, friends. I have a really fun episode for you today. I asked Erin to come on and talk about this topic of interiors, and we're going to talk about both really practical, functional things you can implement, as well as some overall things to think about when it comes to design. And I wanted to throw this episode out because we're about to dive into Summer of Style in the lab. And most of that program is going to focus on your own personal style in terms of your personal aesthetic. But I wanted to put out this episode on interiors to get you thinking about your space, because that's another really fun and powerful place to apply these concepts. I want you to think about how to make it more functional and, of course, how to make it more aesthetic, as my kids would say. So to begin with, here is a bit about Erin. Design for the People's founder and principal designer Erin Haskell Gourde has always been destined for a career in the arts. A foundation in fashion with exciting work at Stella McCartney's London studio, an Arizona-based luxury lifestyle magazine publishing house, and creative pursuits of her own gave Haskell Gourde a base of knowledge and understanding that design and style could be a fulfilling career path and one fit for her unique skill set. Haskell Gourde's career trajectory was solidified when she earned her master's degree in interior design in 2013. She took her interest in interiors and architecture more seriously and began to hone her craft with small projects. Time spent at renowned architecture firms like the iconic Herman Miller were just the start of her post-grad design journey, strengthening her expertise in building her design portfolio. Full-service interior and architecture design studio Design for the People was built in 2016 upon Haskell Gourde's foundation of design knowledge, love of people, and of spaces. Her team, contractors, clients, and their personalities, coupled with her near psychic ability to look at a space and know instantly what it should become, are her inspiration and magic informing her daily work. Haskell Gourde works out of Spokane, Washington, offering commercial and residential design up the West Coast, including full design services or her expertise for a single day. Her new Spokane showroom offers luxe goods from all over the world, modern and unique furniture, carefully curated decor, art, and other nonsense to delight design clients and the public alike. So, who is excited to hear from my designer? I like to claim her as my own. She helped us do our house. Erin Haskell Gourde, let's take it away. So my thought is really just kind of practical where do I even begin if I want to up level my home? I always kind of like to take the approach of, everything I do is through kind of mental, emotional health. So
Mhm.
maybe you could speak a little bit to just like, why is it even important to focus on your surroundings, your environment around you?
Yeah.
And also, as your life changes, a lot of my listeners are in the thick of having kids and raising kids. How do I create a home that I think is beautiful, but I have toddlers that destroy everything? Like any kind of those kind of strategies are really helpful for people. Organization, decluttering is a huge problem. Again, I don't know the answers to these questions, but the things that come to my mind, I remember like
You.
years ago, I even went to something through my church, and
Yeah.
this woman taught a class that was going to be on interiors. And I remember like half the class, she talked about, listen, it doesn't matter how nice your art and your decor is if your kid's crap is all over the place. So
Right.
she was like, every kid gets a basket, put everything in the basket. When it fills up, they need to go put it away. Just like she started with like really practical. I was like, oh, yeah, that part
Yeah.
matters.
Totally.
And so any of that you can add, and then I would love to highlight, like we can talk about my experience. I'm certainly happy to talk up how amazing it's been. And now we're moving and we're taking it with us. And then we can kind of promote that.
Also, too, I'm happy to help you as a friend, help you place stuff too.
Yeah. My office down there is like a little back office. It's like a little unit behind the house that's not much bigger than this. And yeah, the house in general, I would definitely FaceTime you and be like, what do you think?
Or we can just do
So,
a designer in San Diego and then I can just come over.
ooh, that would be fun. We
Yeah.
should do that. We'll
Yeah.
fly you down and you just help me and we get
Yeah.
everything installed. Yeah. My
Well, I'm
husband would love that.
happy to do that because I mean, we can talk about too, just, yeah, I think where to start is a really good one because I think that's a
Yeah.
lot of people's, it's almost like a psychological thing where they're like, you know what, that's something for later. That's something that
Yes.
I'm going to focus on, when they are X years old or whatever,
Hmm.
or sometimes never really.
Right.
Because life's busy and they don't get around to it too. I mean, that's
Right. That's
the thing.
right.
A lot of times it's like hiring the professional is the way to go because at the end of the day, as much as glamorous as interior design sounds, it's really like good old fashioned hard work. I mean, that's really what it is. So
Mhm.
it's really about, hiring those professionals that like get a job done for you, take that off your plate. I
Mm.
think we kind of live in a revolution in a world of DIY everything, right? I mean,
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with the HGTV shows and a lot of the decor shows that show you how to do it yourself. And that's all great. And sometimes people have those gifts and sometimes they don't. And
That's
so
right.
it's really just about time. And so isn't that's kind of life in general? Where do you want to spend your time and how do you want to spend your time? And so it's really what you value. And so that's what I always say is like hire someone that can take this off your plate so you can focus on what you want to focus on. I mean, I do that
Yeah.
all the time with hiring professionals. It's like, yes, you can do it yourself, but it would take you 3, 4 times as long, you know,
Mhm.
all the headache and everything else associated with it. So, I think it's about doing your research and hiring the right person for you and interview them too. I mean, just like a therapist, just like a doctor, just like a realtor, just because they are one doesn't mean it's a good fit for you, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's about finding that person that understands your problems because it also, in reality, we're problem solvers. That's what interior designers really main goal is. I want to solve your problems. And
Mm.
so functionality first, it's getting the clutter out. It's understanding how you live. It's understanding, hey, when you come home, what do you do? Right? Like, what do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third? And what could make that process better, right? Or it's
Yeah.
like you get ready in the morning, what do you do? What are the things that you like? What are the things you don't like? And how can we improve on making your life better? So
Mm.
that's the functionality is number one. And then making it beautiful is, the second. So it's really, function first and form second. And so making it pretty is sort of, in my eyes, it's the easy part, but it's not easy for everybody else.
So
Yeah.
good designers should be asking you those questions, right? When you say, how do you get ready in the morning? I'm picturing my bathroom right now that's like got this really cheap spinny thing I got off Amazon that's full of products and everything because for whatever reason I don't have a medicine cabinet and my I don't have space in the drawers. I'm constantly like, I think I need to buy something to go on the wall. So it's to your point, function first. But what I find, and I'm just going to put this out there because I know people listening probably are like me, where it feels like I can't afford to hire the professional. I
Mhm.
need to use that money to buy the furniture or the decor or whatever I'm going to buy for my house.
Right.
But what I've found is that when I try to pick it out myself, I end up buying it like 4 or 5 times
Right.
because I don't trust myself. I often don't like what I picked out. I'm not considering things that somebody who is a professional is considering. And in the end, I waste money on the stuff instead of just spending it in the first place on a professional.
And I'll say 2 things to that. Number 1, yes, you're absolutely right. But think about, are you really good at returns? I mean, sometimes I have things that I
Oh, I'm
just
terrible.
to return for, months, right? And they just you
Mhm.
kind of forget about it because you're busy. So there's that. But also the big thing is, even if you are really good at picking things out for your home, you only know what you know. The thing about as professionals is, I mean, luckily we do have a store. And so we carry products from all around the world, but you don't have access to that. The average person doesn't, and they don't know the brands. And so all you know is the retailers that you know. When people say, oh, I got this at Home Goods or I got this at Pottery Barn, and they're kind of embarrassed. And I said, why would you be embarrassed? It's what you know, it's what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
So it's like, let us help you because there's a whole worlds even out there that you have no idea.
Mm,
And that's where we can come in and say, okay, this would look amazing here, or this would solve your problem here. And you don't even know that solution, right?
that's so good. If somebody's like, I just want to update my home, I just want to
Yeah.
I just want to begin somewhere. Where do
Yeah.
you recommend, Erin, that people begin?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because, I have my master's in interior design. And so we're really architects. I do exteriors and interiors. But what I found was when I worked at a lot of these big architecture firms before I started my own design studio was that they would create this beautiful house. And then, I'm talking, when I say that, I'm talking, materials, flooring, lighting, and the flow was nice, but they wouldn't help them with that final step of like the furniture and the decor. And I just felt like it was such a misstep. Like, it's amazing how someone or people can sort of ruin, if you will. I don't mean to sound harsh, but this beautiful interior with like the wrong furniture and the wrong
Mhm.
decor. That's really why A, I decided to start my own studio, but B, also started Design for the People store. And so what I would say to that is like decor and furniture really does matter. But if you're wanting to start somewhere, I think that art is really important. I think that, and even like large scale art that can really fill a wall, I mean, that's super important. And I think storage is a big thing too. Like, it's about finding solutions that work for you. So, a lot of people with kids, right? They have a lot of stuff, they have a lot of toys, and it's like, okay, well, where do you put that? And so it's finding like the right solutions because anyone can, go purchase a bin, right? But
Mhm.
then it's like, well, do you want that bin to be a part of your furniture and decor? I mean, I don't know. It depends what bin we're talking about, right? But I think it's about finding the storage solutions that make it easy for you to want to put that stuff away. It's like,
Yeah.
I want to use that cabinet, especially with families. We kind of pick out cabinets for all of the kids. And then sometimes even for the adults, it's like, hey, this is your domain. This is your place, right? Time to clean up, and they know what to do. So it's about starting, design can even have a big impact on your everyday ways of life, right? It's
Yeah.
like, it's amazing in that respect of just even a cabinet, but the right cabinet can make you feel better because people are wanting to put away their stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Do you find with your clients in general, I mean, my thought is we all have way too much stuff.
Yes.
I mean, I realize that's not really you're not in there judging that, but in general, what I find is that the more I get rid of stuff, the more I like my house. Of
Yeah.
course, because right, you go into a model home or something or Parade of Homes or whatever, and
Mhm.
I'm always like, yeah, this is awesome because there's nothing in here that people actually need to live with. I
Totally. I
just
mean, it's about finding that
ugh.
balance. I love that Marie Kondo method. I just love it. I don't have you
Yeah, I
read
read
that
her
book?
book. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and sometimes that works for people and sometimes it doesn't. Being practical with the family. I mean, that's why honestly I called my studio Design for the People because it matters on the people involved. So
Mm.
I go in, I'm not designing for Erin. It's really understanding how they live and what's important to them and then coming up with that solution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about your work. Not only like functionally are you considering people, but I feel like even I know when Jake and I first met with you, you were kind of asking us what is our style, and we're like, we don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But we pulled up a few pictures. You're like, okay, this is your style. And I do notice that some designers seem to have their style. And then there's designers like you who are designing for your client's style, which I think is fun because then your work is also unique. Like I can see similarities. Like you did my brother's kitchen and the salon where I get my hair done. And sometimes I'm like, oh, yep, I recognize that. I recognize that. Like
Yeah.
there's some, but you still are like considering
You're
um,
tailoring it to the client.
yeah. And I think that for most of us, we don't even know what our style is and we don't know what we like until we see it. So that's where having a designer come in, I just think is so amazing.
I agree.
I know we're going about this in totally a different order than normally we would do a podcast interview, but that's how I like to roll. I wanted to just get a little bit more of your background because you mentioned that you worked at an architectural firm. How did you get into this? Have you always been passionate about this topic or?
Yes. I think it's one of those things where, I mean, I don't know if you talk about like gifts that people have, but I think where you grow up and you just instantly know things and you think everyone else knows them too,
Yeah.
and they
And you're
don't.
like, why do you not know this? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I would always walk into a room, even when I was young, like elementary school, high school, or I'd see a construction project and I saw the before and I'd see the after. And I'm like, gosh, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done this or that, or
Mm.
they should really do this. And if they change this wall, and I just kind of thought everyone thought that. And I would always be the one who saved up my money and went and bought like new bedding and like new decor for my room. I mean, that's kind of weird.
I
You
love
know,
it.
it's
On your
always been
radar.
there, but
Yeah.
I would say, I went to college, University of Arizona. I would say I wasn't really truly focused on my studies at that point in my life, to be
Okay.
honest. I think I was more focused on like designer handbags and chasing boys and whatever. But I was in the publishing industry. I worked for a publishing company. And so I got to know a lot of these architects and designers. And, I think you just kind of have that time in your life where you're like, I think I need to change some things. Like, I think I need to do it. So I went back to school because it's one of those things where you have to go to school. I mean, you have to have, in my opinion, you have to learn to draw. You have to understand the elements and principles of design, and you need to understand the history. At least I did. And so that's when I went back and I got my master's in interior design. And then I started working in like internships from day one. And so, I mean, back in the day, interns were essentially free. I'm not sure how interns work now, but yeah, you were willing to work and I was, they would hire you. So you just got to know a lot also about the business side of it too. There's some interior designers that struggle with that. It's left brain and right brain, right? You have to have both when you're a
Yeah.
designer. You have to have both when you're an architect. So I would say I'm better at the right brain. I mean, I think we all have our strengths, but the left brain's important. And I've gotten better at that as the years have gone on. But so that was 14 years ago. So I've been at this for 14 years. And then I decided to start my own studio 7 years ago. That was just
Mm.
more of like, let's do it. Yeah. And then I
Are you
started,
glad you did it?
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, totally. But there were some times where, at one point I had like 57 projects I was working on.
Wow.
I would work day and night and all weekends. And I'm just like, someday this is going to pay off.
You're in
I
the
don't know
grind for it.
when, but someday it will. And then as times go by, I always tell designers, you have to make the mistakes, learn what you can handle and what you can't handle. I mean, you're in the business with people, right? So it's a service, and you have to understand like who you work well with as a client and who you wouldn't work well with as a client. And that's
Mhm.
okay. Everyone shouldn't be for everyone. There's only
Yeah.
so much school can teach you. Practical real life experience is so necessary. And so you got to start somewhere and you just got to go for it. But yeah, you just learn along the way. And then I was lucky enough to start my own store. And that was really nice because it was just a way to house all of the products and save them for clients and then have a big install team to be able to install all of the furniture and the decor, which is an aspect that many people want. And a lot of designers don't know how to deliver that because you need a team to do it and you
Mhm.
need space to do it. And so that was really exciting for me just because I love products and I love product design. And so I've been really lucky to have that other side to the business as well.
You're honestly the first designer I've ever like formally hired and worked with.
Oh,
And in my mind, like interior design is for like really rich people,
sure.
right?
Especially
And
on the West Coast.
oh, really? It's more
Yeah.
common on the East Coast? Okay.
The East Coast, it doesn't really matter like where you are.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like it's just people hire interior designers. It's just like what you do, no
Oh,
matter how much money you make. I've just found that. But
that's
on the
interesting.
West
Yeah.
Coast, it definitely has, you're right, this mentality of extra luxury.
Yeah. I always thought it was luxury. I can't afford that. Or even as I started making a little more money, and it was like, I would like to put some money into the interior of my house, I still felt really intimidated because I was just like, I don't even know how it works. I don't know. And I get everybody has their own process and everything, but the way that you set it up was a real win for us, especially at like the first time we ever worked with a designer. It was doable budget wise.
Yep.
And it was the kind of process that we needed that was like we could be involved as little or as,
Yeah.
as much as we wanted. I think we should talk about this day with a designer that you
Yes.
offer. Tell me why you created it, who's it for, how does it work? And I wanted to speak to my experience as we go.
That's a really good question because I certainly didn't come up, or I should say, when I opened the store, that wasn't something that I thought of right away. It evolved with me.
Yeah.
And it's made a lot of sense and people love it. But I will say, when I first opened the store, I thought people would come in and love a product and purchase it and then put it in their home, or they'd buy an art piece and some decor and they're like, I love that. I'm going to put it in my home. And that was not the case. And what I realized is that it wasn't about the money price wise, because we do like to have a variety of higher price point, lower price point. I think that's important because you don't need to have ultra luxury for everything. I mean, some
Right.
things are great, right? Like this is worth it, but like, hey, let's ring it in over here, right?
Yeah.
But what I realized was that people did not trust themselves in order to put
Yeah.
it together. Like they just didn't. They're like, I just love everything in here. I don't know where to start. And they get overwhelmed because
Mhm.
a lot of people don't want to get rid of everything they have. Some people do. People are like, purchasing that second or third home. They have nothing. And we come in and do it up for them. And that's great. But the majority of people,
Mhm.
they want to keep some of their items, right? That they have, whether it be dining table, sofa, whatever,
Mhm.
and then incorporate some new things. And like, how do you make that work? Right.
Yeah.
So that was the big question.
Mm.
So that's why I started a day with the designer, because what I wanted to say is like, get out of your house, move out, and just let me do it. And so, because I found that when we did our large projects when install day, if I just brought in like one thing or like a new sofa, it just doesn't work, right? Like they're fixating on it. They're like, I don't know. They like it. It's like, you got to hold on. It's a holistic approach. It's all
Yeah.
about everything all together. So that was how I started it. That's how I started the day with designer. And I felt like it's something that everybody really wants. Like they want someone to come in and have it done for them. They really want
Yes.
that, magazine cover and they're like, how do I get there? That's what I want.
That's what we liked about it was like, okay, we're going to pay you this design fee and then we're going to give you a budget and right, talk about what we're going to do overall. But then we took all of our kids and we left. We went and
Mhm.
stayed the night at my sister's house. And I
Yeah.
was like, 2 days, kids, we're not going home. So pack a
Yeah.
bag.
Not
We just
allowed.
got out of there so that you guys could come in and set everything up and do your thing. And then when we came back, it's like that HGTV experience where you walk in. We weren't taking out walls and we didn't do
No.
any, like, it was just decor. And a lot of the decor we had talked about before, right? Like we approve furniture. So because we're going to be paying for that, obviously, but the way you put it all together was just beautiful. And then I don't know if you still do it this way, but the way it worked for us was, and my husband and I agreed ahead of time because you told us, like, we're going to set everything up.
Yeah.
And then anything you don't want,
Right.
you'll just pull down and we'll come and pick it up. And then we'll send you the bill for whatever's left.
Yep.
So Jake and I decided, okay, this is the budget that we've set aside to spend on this.
Hmm.
And we're not going to look at price tags on things because you guys left the price tags on everything because we had to decide, right? And we
Right.
both agreed, like, we're not going to pick every single thing up and go, this is that much? What? Oh, this is
Right.
inexpensive. If it's within our budget and we
Mhm.
love it, we keep it. If we don't love it, we swap it out. So that was a really good strategy for us because even now we're getting ready to move and I'm
Yeah.
packing stuff and there are things that I never took the price tags off of. And I'm going through and I'm like kind of surprised that that was that expensive and surprised that this was that inexpensive. But I'm
Right.
so glad I didn't look at that because like you said, it's the
Yeah.
overall what you created. And it was just so exciting to be able to come home and feel like you have this whole new, it was fun for us and for the kids. And anyway, we did it with like our main floor living area and my office and a little bit upstairs too. But I would assume you have people with different scopes of how much work you're doing.
That's really the best part. I mean, so it's a flat fee and you can do one room, you can do your entire house. It does not matter.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And so that's really exciting for people. We do it locally here in Spokane, Washington, and North Idaho, but we do them all over the country. I mean, we just got done with doing one in LA. We did one in Boston. We do a lot in Arizona. We've done a lot in Utah. So we'll go anywhere. So it's one flat design fee. And then what we do is we do come out to your house because I think that's super important just to understand. I mean, pictures and measurements, of course, they help, but it's
Hmm.
really important, for me and my team to get to know you guys, right? And
Hmm.
understand the way you live and the way you want to live better. Yeah, what is your style? And also what do you have? I mean, those are like, hey, what are the things that you really want to keep? Whatever that may be, it's different for everybody. So that's really important to know, like as a base, right?
Yeah.
And what we do is we present to you really exactly what we would do. A lot of that can be done over Zoom once we've seen those items, especially for like what we call the remote day with the designer. And then we talk about what we would do and we show you visuals and we show you actual products. And we do have you commit to the larger items that we need to order, but I don't talk necessarily about the art or the decor. I mean, if you want to, we can, but it's just sort of a waste of time.
Yeah. I kind of liked it just being like a surprise.
We also we work with the decor that you have too. And really it's funny because obviously it's way more than a day at work, right? It's called day
Right.
designer, but it's much more work
Right.
the day. The actual day is the install, right? So
Right.
that's when
Right.
we bring out our whole install team. We've become really good at it. We've been doing it for 4 years. And honestly, we love doing them too. I mean,
Hmm.
sometimes we know what it's going to look like in our minds, but it looks even better once, we're there
Yeah.
done and we have our processes down. And before that, we kind of send you some not necessarily rules, but hey, what to expect, right? It's where we ask our clients to use the pile method of say, hey, this is decor you should use. I definitely want to use this. This is decor. If you want to use it, great. Maybe not. And so then we know what you really want. And so we kind of recycle it in a way that maybe
Mhm.
the thought of using that one piece in a different area, right?
Yeah.
That's what's fun too, is a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought about putting that there, and they own
Yeah.
it. So that's what's fun is incorporating even some family heirlooms, right? With some different items. But
Mm.
it's really amazing for the people who want a refresh. And it's not about construction. That's the whole, we definitely do that, but that's not what this is. And it's funny because sometimes they think they need construction, and it's like, no, you just need you need some new fresh air. You need some furniture pieces that really work and, speak to your style. And
Mhm.
then what's so awesome is like when you're moving, and take it with you. I mean, hopefully it's like if you were to sell your house and I mean, the goal would be to get out of it what you put into it, but sometimes that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and we're really happy with the investment that we put in with you. We're taking it all with us to our new house, so we don't
Yeah.
feel like we put in a lot of time or money that we don't get to enjoy. Even if we did recoup the money, like I want to be able to enjoy this in my next house. So, it was a really fun experience for us. I highly recommend it.
We love doing it and clients love it too. They get to have the final finished product. I think, where it really differs is people will look online and shop online and a package will come to them and they have to, undo the package and blah, blah, blah. And it's this big thing and they have to lift the thing and they get the friends to lift the thing and put it in the room. They're not really sure, that's not fun for anyone.
A lot of my clients are feeling like crammed, right, in their house. You start having more kids and
Sure.
just kind of try to accommodate it. And one of the things I really appreciated, and maybe you can give some people some tips of how they can think about this, because one of the things I appreciate is when you came and did the walkthrough of our house before we started anything, just to kind of check out the space and what are we doing here, is you immediately were able to identify things like, well, you have this formal dining room and then you have a table in the kitchen. Like, do you really need two spaces to eat? Because this space you could use in this other way, which it hadn't even crossed our minds that
Yeah.
we could use that room something
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
than what the builder intended it for. And, because we had a piano crammed in the corner, like you could put the piano in here. Anyway, like just stepping back and rethinking your space. And
Yes.
also, there were certain areas where you said things like you could fit a big table there. And in my mind, I was like, no, we can't. That's too small. And of course, you were right. Like the amount of furniture that you wanted to put in my office, I thought, there's no way that's going to fit. Well, it totally fits really nicely and it looks beautiful and it doesn't feel crowded. So just like space utilization for those of us that aren't trained in this stuff, which
Yeah.
is everybody. And all we know to do is like shove a cabinet up against the wall and a sofa against the other wall. Like, how can people sort of reassess the space that they're in to better leverage it? And are there any like practical tips you can give those of us that aren't trained in this?
You mean without our help?
Yeah, I mean, hire a designer, obviously, but like
Yeah.
in the
Well,
short
I mean,
term.
that's a cool thing. So I'll answer that in a couple ways. One is yes, when we do the day of the designer, you get our design team to come in and, we speak very freely. It's not
That's
like,
what I love about you. You're so honest.
well, yes. I mean,
Refreshing. Yeah.
I try to do that, because that's what you're hiring me, right?
Right.
And so wouldn't you want to know that? I mean, I would.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I always say it's like
It's natural for you.
my
Yeah.
only gift. Yeah. So it's like, there you go. Just looking at spaces, I think it's always about for what you were saying, again, it's like, how do you normally live? Like, are you even utilizing all of your rooms in your house? I think that's a
Mhm.
question. And a lot of times the answer is no.
For me, if you would have asked me that, I would have been like, yes. But what I realized is that the way we were utilizing the dining room table was just to dump boxes and junk that we didn't know where else to put. So, like, were we really using it in a
Correctly.
useful way?
Yeah.
No. But in my mind, of course, we're using every space.
Hmm.
Anyway, it's just, yeah, it's interesting to think
And
about.
thinking about too, like, I think it's just challenging yourself. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Challenging
Mm,
yourself of, okay, you're utilizing these rooms, but are they the best they could be? Right. Like
right.
if you're using
Right.
that table to, house a bunch of stuff on it. Is that really a good use of space? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I think
Okay.
it's
So
challenging. And then, knowing spatial stuff, like I said, I've been doing this for so long. I can just kind of know, I can look at something and I'm like, that's 48 inches, that's 52. I might surprise myself along the
I
way.
know you're good at that.
Practical things to think about are, this is a really good example. We just did a day with a designer where they wanted to have a table in their kitchen, and they also had a formal dining room space, and they wanted to keep both was important to them, so I think that's great. They didn't have a lot of spatial room though in their kitchen, and while they had the quote unquote room, like dimension wise, it was going to feel really heavy. It was going to feel maybe a little cluttered. So what we decided to do was a glass table, right? So the glass table, it's see-through. So even though the functionality is there, it doesn't look so heavy.
Oh, yeah.
That was like a really good solution to their problem, right? So
That's
it's
awesome.
thinking about like things like that too. Like even I'm looking in like the back of you with your glass cabinets. It might look very different if they weren't glass, if they were heavy and they were a dark color. And so it's thinking
Right.
about scale and the material and the color. It's like
Right.
that all in mind too.
I just love you. I appreciate your work. I think that you're so amazing. I remember when I first found you too, I was like, she is very cool. I didn't know there were cool people like that in Spokane, but it turns out there are actually a lot of cool people here. But
Well, I always say the airport's only 15 minutes away. So, you know, we love to travel. There's people who don't love to travel for their jobs, and I get it. It's tough on the body, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of logistics you need to figure out. But for me, I really enjoy it. And
Yeah.
so, you get to see the world and you get to meet different people, and so, we love it. But it's nice
Yeah.
to have a home base here that isn't so chaotic and,
Yeah.
doesn't
It's true.
traffic, and for us
Yeah.
it works well. People ask me all the time, are you going to move, to a bigger city? And you can't predict the future, but for now, we like having this as a home base and being able to go. We're wanted and hired by our clients. So that's what I would say.
I love it. So, if people want to hire you or learn more about working with you, let's tell them where to find you. Obviously, Day with a Designer might be really of interest to people, but even also where to shop in your online store because you have some really amazing, unique stuff there.
Thank you.
Where do
Yes.
people find you?
Designforthepeople.com. So that's designfortheppl.com. And we're also on Instagram at designfortheppl. So yeah, find us there online.
Okay.
Best way. And you can contact us right on our website. Say that you're interested in Day with a Designer. And what we do is we set up a 15-minute consultation. And we want to make sure it's the right fit for you too.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you for coming on today.
You're welcome. And good luck with your move.
Thank you.
I'll look forward to FaceTiming you,
I can't wait.
maybe coming in person
I know. I like that idea.
and get some more sunshine, right?
Yeah, you should consider moving to San Diego. It's pretty nice. Just saying.
If you find the podcast to be helpful, you're going to love The Lab. In Better Than Happy, The Lab, we experiment with applying all of it in your real life. Whether you're in the middle of a challenge and ready for some relief, or you're ready to commit to pursuing your dream goals and making them a reality, come join me in The Lab at jodymoore.com/The Lab. That's jodymoore.com/The Lab.